Hey guys, I'm here just to show you two shaders I recently made in Unity3D. The first one is a parallax offset mapped eyeball shader, and the second is a Kajiya-Kay specular highlight hair shader. And I'll just be going over some of these features and highlighting some of the things that don't quite work yet. So the first one is this eyeball shader, and the nice thing about this is it has parallax offset mapping, which is a way to simulate the way that an eyeball has a concave area for the iris. You can see on this crude drawing that I've made, the iris is concave and the cornea is convex. So to imitate this, what I've done is implemented a parallax offset map in the texture coordinate. So you can see in the scene view how the UVs are pretty distorted there, but in the game view it looks pretty good from the side. So that's the first feature. Another thing about this shader is that it's got ambient occlusion underneath the eyelid, so this helps kind of take away from that CG look and makes it look a little bit more realistic. And there's a fall off for this, and I think this is a Fresnel controlled fall off. I'm not quite sure. The other set of features that it has is separate specularity for both the cornea, the cornea and the sclera, which is the white part of the eyeball. So there's two separate specs, and they both have their own controls. So looks like I named them wrong in the inspector, but you can change this spec to whatever color you want. I recommend somewhat of like a pinkish color. It seems most natural. And this has got a strength and a exponent for it, so you can kind of create a tighter spec or a looser spec. And typically a looser spec looks better on the sclera, and a tighter spec on the iris cornea area. And that also has its own color control and a fall-off setting, so you can control this and make it nice and tight, which I think tends to look better for that part of the eyeball. So that's pretty much the eyeball. It's got a couple controls for reflection, so if you want reflectivity on the eyeball, you can control that through several offsets in here. So there's reflection contrast, that's no reflection, and you can bring this in and have quite a bit of reflection there. You can see this is a sweet texture of a babbling brook, it appears to be. So if you want that to be pretty strong, I would advise against super strong reflections in eyeballs. It makes it look very plastic and pretty fake. Each one of the cornea the sclera and the iris have two separate normal maps, so those are controlled separately. And that's pretty much it for the eyeball shader. This parallax offset mapping effect is, I'm pretty sure, common in engines like, I think Crytek does this, and I think it's pretty good for mimicking the way that the eyeball is shaped. I can try and show you on my eyeball. If you look at it from the side, you can see that even though I'm turned and facing completely away from the camera, I'm completely like, I guess orthogonal to it, you can still see my pupil, and that's because of like what I was saying with this drawing here. Like the convex area of the cornea is where I'm doing all the shading, so like that's getting all of the highlighting and stuff, and the iris has been recessed using the parallax offset map. And you can see this is what it looks like with it, and then if you want to take it off, you can turn it off, and that's what it looks like without. So it definitely looks a lot less realistic, so I recommend using this feature. And there's also the ability to dilate the pupil. This isn't automated right now. I'd like to make it eventually so that if you get close to a light source, the eyeballs will dilate the pupil. But right now you can just feed it in through a script, which I think is not so bad. Okay, so that's it for the eyeball shader. The next is the hair shader. So the main thing I'm trying to achieve here is proper spec on the hair. And you can see the difference between this specularity and the default Unity transparent bump diffuse. So it looks like this, which is got a lot of weird sorting problems. This is from trying to alpha blend multiple textures on top of each other. Ends up looking weird, polygons get sorted funny, all sorts of problems. So I recommend using this hair shader over that, because what it does is it's based off of a ATI paper from like 2004, and what it does is it renders the sort of base alpha tested parts of the polygons, and those are perfectly ordered because alpha testing typically returns great ordering, but the thing that doesn't return good ordering is alpha blending. So the way that that's trying to be solved here is to render the back-facing alpha blended and then the front-facing alpha blended on top of it. It's not perfect. There's still some stuff I need to figure out. You can't tell so much here, but if you move the light around, I'm not sure how obvious it is, but there's definitely some weird stuff going on at the tips. So that needs to be fixed, and I'm going to be working on that next. And just like as a warning too, like all these textures are totally not final. These are just sort of things to play around with, just so I can test the shaders. This hair shader can be colored any color you so desire, so you can change that in here. You can make like some sweet red hair if you wanted, and you can control both the color of the hair and then the color of the highlight. So the specularity has its own separate color control. So that's pretty nice, and you can get some nice effects there. Another thing you can do is you've got pretty good control over the way that this specularity is controlled using this power function, which is basically tightening it or making it wider. The sharpness can provide like these kind of cell shaded, I don't know, like cartoony style highlights, which definitely have their place in some games, I think. The exponent doesn't work yet. I haven't totally finished this yet. I want to add like a rim lighting to it to kind of imitate the way that light from behind kind of sits inside of hair. So that's pretty much it for this shader. You can hopefully download these pretty soon. I'm going to try to work them into a pack. And yeah, I'd like to thank a few people that were really helpful in learning this stuff. This guy is on Polycount, Leonardo Covarrubias. I'm sorry, I don't know his name, but yeah, his blog is leocove.com, and he's got a bunch of really cool CG effects, and it was really helpful in porting these to Unity. And he's definitely got a pretty good hold of what's happening in this paper here, which is the practical real-time hair rendering and shading by ATI. This is a pretty old method, 2004, but I mean it was state-of-the-art in 2004, so these are the kind of things I think are being done in games right now. And now this is all being like deprecated by the DirectX 11 tessellated hair, but I still think it looks pretty good, just for being the effect that it is. And one more person I'd like to thank is cman2k on techartist.org. He's got a really cool tutorial on how he made his eye shader, so that helped me out a lot in creating this in Unity. And all these shaders work with multiple lights. The scene has got several lights in it. I can zoom out. Ooh, that's really creepy. Oh god. I'm kind of scared. Probably have nightmares. So this has got actually 1, 2, 3, 6 lights in it. So this scene has got 6 lights and one directional light, which is the sun, and then a bunch of point lights. So this works with multiple lights. The camera is in deferred lighting mode, and the screen space ambient occlusion is enabled, as well as bloom, and I've got one script on the eyeball that calculates the inverse, the eye vector. So it's really useful for getting the necessary components for doing the kinds of things that are in this parallax offset mapping. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks again to the guys on the internet for being so knowledgeable about this stuff, and I hope to release these soon on Unity. Thanks a lot, guys.